Welcome back to 8 Steps that will help transform lives and your community. My name is Joey Yarber, and I'm your co-host for this empowering training series. In Step 1, Part 3, we'll explore the following: the problems and solutions that helping agencies face, the conversations that are shifting among funders of social services, and how to revitalize your organization by increasing its health and sustainability. Let's get started. Here's Mike with more.
Welcome to Step 1, Part 3. As mentioned in our previous sessions, your key challenge for Step 1 is to make sure that you are well equipped with knowledge and wisdom about issues, challenges, and possibilities that will accompany you on your journey. Your action steps will involve taking time to listen and learn from others who are already engaged in their journey with their community. We can point you in the direction of community stakeholders who welcome opportunity to share their own experiences with you. Our website, collectivecommunityimpact.com, lists many innovative pioneers who are strong advocates for care networking and transformation. Regarding measurable results, you will be encouraged, inspired, and driven to share what you are learning with others in your community. As mentioned in Part 1, prepare yourself before you position yourself as a public advocate for innovative best practices. Your knowledge and wisdom regarding collective community impact will empower your conversations and ability to cast a clear, concise, and compelling vision for comprehensive, coordinated care. At this point in our training, I hope you have gained a better understanding of helping others through the eyes of individuals and families. People facing hardship oftentimes face big problems when searching for help. These problems include siloed service gaps that tear wide gaping holes in a community's social safety net, causing people to fall through the cracks. Dysfunctional service delivery. This leaves people with little or no hope of finding what they need. Getting by versus getting ahead. Which is more important? This is a question that must be answered by resource providers and recipients as well. Social service versus social change. This will determine whether a community is successful in moving the needle on poverty, hunger, and other complex challenges. We are excited that new breakthroughs in technology and cross-sector collaboration are paving the way for innovative solutions in caregiving. These include care networking, which offers people greater access to information and resources that can support social and economic well-being. Effective referral systems that strengthen a community's social safety net and streamlines coordinated care. Transformation roadmaps, supported by human and community development partnerships, which pave the way to abundant living for many in a community. Comprehensive coordinated care, which is a life-changing continuum of care that can transform the lives of children, adults, and families. Okay, let us shift gears and view helping others through the lenses or eyes of helping agencies. We will look at the problems and possible solutions from their perspective. Helping agencies across the country are very concerned about their future. Most helping agencies struggle to maintain a constant flow of resources that sustain and advance their mission. Many agencies, with limited staff and volunteers, cannot keep pace with the increased demand for services, which is forcing them to do more with less. Also, people's needs are becoming more complex and beyond the scope of many agencies, which are not connected to a community-wide referral system. Because of this, Many children, youth, and adults go without access to effective programs and services that can help transform their lives. Many helping agencies are aware of these challenges and realize that more needs to be done. However, they feel powerless in developing lasting solutions in their community because of a lack of resources. According to the National Association of Nonprofits, resource development, or fundraising, continues to be the biggest challenge for helping agencies. I cannot tell you how many times I've heard an agency leader say, "Everything will be all right when I get that one grant that keeps us going." I often wonder what would happen if this helping agency did not get that one grant. Many years ago, I was invited to speak at a symposium produced by the Social Work Department of the University of North Alabama. They invited leaders of helping agencies to share their best practices and talk about their future. Many were concerned about their sustainability. One agency executive director said, "For many years, we have provided this community with great programs and services for early childhood development. But due to a lack of resources, we may have to shut our doors next year." Other helping agency staff shared similar concerns. We are learning that resource development for helping agencies will continue to be a great challenge due to donor or funder fatigue. This happens when funders grow tired or lose interest in supporting certain charitable causes. Funders are bombarded each year with funding requests from helping agencies that are trying to make a difference in their communities. However, funders make hard decisions as to which helping agencies are doing the most good, at least in their eyes. If you have not felt it yet, the expectation of funders are changing and could catch many helping agencies off guard. Funders want more assurance that the right resources get into the right hands at the right time. Funders are growing more interested in tracking transformation rather than tragedy. For example, funders are grateful that helping agencies are tracking how they are meeting the needs of long lines of hungry individuals and families. However, funders believe making those lines shorter by striving to end food security in a community is the better solution. Mario Marino, the author of Leap of Reason, Managing Outcomes in an Era of Scarcity, suggests the cold reality is that in our present era of unsustainable debts and deficits, our nation simply will not be able to justify huge subsidies for social sector activities and entities without more assurance that they're on track to realize results. Public funders, and eventually private funders as well, will migrate away from organizations with steering stories alone toward well-managed organizations that can also demonstrate meaningful, lasting impact. It is no longer good enough to make the case that we are addressing real needs. We need to prove that we are making a real difference. Across the country, conversations are shifting among funders of social services, especially among donors, foundations, and government. This shift is driven by the "what works" movement, where advocates suggest, let's find out what really works and then make it work for more people. Experts suggest that we need innovative tools that do more than simply count the number of programs offered or the number of people served. We also need to measure outcomes and impact, the successful results of our efforts, and how much people's lives are transformed. So how do we know if things are really working? Well, funders suggest that communities can successfully answer this question if their helping agencies will shift their approach to helping others. Funders suggest that communities shift from a social service model to a social change model for helping others. A social service model values efficient service providing, which for the most part is reliable. However, it can be perceived by people in need as impersonal and more of a get-by approach to helping others. A social change model values effective caregiving, which is more relational and more of a getting-ahead approach to helping others, which fosters transformation. Funders also suggest that communities shift from a single-focused to a community-focused approach to helping others, one that values increased communication, cooperation, and collaboration among all helping agencies. A single-focused agency approach happens because of a lack of resources, which forces agencies to specialize in programs and services that are vital, but unfortunately have limited impact. A community-focused, collaborative care approach advocates for a well-connected network of agencies that are working together more efficiently and effectively to coordinate comprehensive or holistic outcomes. Funders also suggest that communities shift from practicing isolated impact to collective impact. Leading experts in developing lasting solutions to social problems suggest that large-scale social change requires broad cross-sector coordination, yet the social sector remains focused on the isolated intervention of individual organizations. Isolated impact happens when organizations work separately and compete to produce the greatest amount of independent impact, which for the most part is limited and does not transform lives. Collective impact strives for large-scale social change supported by cross-sector partnerships working together for common good and greater impact. This is a better context for helping others because helping agencies connect, learn from each other, and collaborate for the well-being of everyone in a community. Funders also suggest that helping agencies shift from relying upon unreliable assumptions to data-driven decision-making when helping others. Unreliable assumptions foster a fragmented understanding of people's needs that wastes resources and limits results. Data-driven decision-making drives a resourcefulness and comprehensive understanding of what works and what doesn't. We are learning that funding is changing. Funders want more agencies and communities to find ways to reduce their dependency upon outside resources and learn how to tap into an abundant but often unrecognized wealth of local community assets. Funders are concerned that a lack of communication and cooperation among helping agencies in a community is causing wasteful duplication of resources. They want assurance that resourcefulness is happening at 3 levels of engagement: individuals and families, helping agencies, and the community as a whole. I remember having a conversation with a director of planning and community development here in Alabama. She was very concerned about the sustainability of certain programs and services in her community. She said that she received a letter from the federal government that her community's HUD funding will be cut by 60%, and there will be new stipulations for receiving these funds. The distribution of funds in her community cannot be focused on the work of 1 or 2 helping agencies. Funds must be evenly distributed to a multiplicity of helping agencies that should be working together. And she must collect data from each of these agencies and produce accurate reports that supports a community-focused approach to improving people's lives. We have discovered that most helping agencies strive to track certain numbers which can demonstrate efficient use of resources. These numbers are very important for most grant applications which require that certain questions be answered. The answers are designed to demonstrate just how effective a helping agency is at addressing real needs in their community. An agency's framework for planning and working their mission is called a logic model, which is used by most helping agencies around the world. This progressive framework starts with inputs, which include funds, staff, volunteers, and supplies. things that support agency mission and sustainability. Activities, which are methods, processes, or actions they employ to achieve their goals. Outputs, which include the programs and services they offer to individuals and families. But according to funders, these numbers alone do not tell the whole story, the effectiveness of programs, or the evidence of lives transformed. The true effectiveness of a helping agency and a community is better defined by outcomes and impact data. Outcomes are short and midterm results or specific benefits for people, that is, lives improved, a better job, and increased income that leads to social and economic well-being. Impact refers to long-lasting changes in the lives of people regarding their sustainability and lasting solutions in a community, resulting in a significant drop in poverty, hunger, and other disparities. These metrics demonstrate that resources are making a real and lasting difference. I must admit that our team is encouraged by the helping agencies that are strong advocates for measuring outcomes and impact. I believe this is a clear sign that agencies are really stepping up their game and are committed to moving the needle on poverty, hunger, and other community challenges. We are encouraged that communities are learning how to help themselves and not to be constantly dependent upon outside resources. This challenge has spawned proven methodologies and capacity-building tools like appreciative inquiry and asset-based community development. The goal of these tools is to help stakeholders tap into an abundant wealth of local community assets that are ever present in most communities. These include the compassion and generosity of local citizens, life-enriching programs and services available throughout their community, trusting relationships, and common interests that could lead to exciting community partnerships, diverse stakeholders who are willing to explore the mutual benefits of a better together civic culture in their community, a tremendous wealth of knowledge, wisdom, and creative ideas that can be discovered and harvested for collective community impact. Tapping into a community's abundant wealth of local assets can increase broader public participation in civic affairs, increase volunteerism by as much as 300%, get more people involved in giving back to their community, reduce dependence upon state and federal funds, increase local resource mobilization by millions of dollars. May I suggest that helping agencies across the country will have no problem getting the attention of funders if they engage in asset-based community development. Learn how to discover the abundant wealth of local assets or resources that are already present in their community. Use innovative technology and capacity-building tools to connect these assets so that they can work together for greater impact. Create mutually beneficial community partnerships and collaboration to co-create opportunities for these assets to be productive and powerful together. Doing these transformative processes will drastically increase a community's resourcefulness and make all kinds of funders happy and willing to give more for generations to come. This all starts by simply getting to know the staff and volunteers of other helping agencies in your community. You will also be wise to get to know business leaders who really want to invest in transforming people's lives. Make time and create a context where they all can connect, share their concerns, and how they want to give back to their community. These remarkable discoveries can then be harvested and aligned for collective action. Perhaps the greatest impact would be the maximizing of a community's caring power. Simply said, a solution for making funders happy is to assure them that you are fully capable of making sure that the right resources get into the right hands at the right time. Show funders how you are using data to make better informed decisions as where to allocate limited resources where they are most needed. Another challenge for helping agencies, also shared by funders, is their inability to clearly define what works and what doesn't. This is often the byproduct of fragmented or siloed service gaps in a community. In my community in Northwest Alabama, a family court judge approached us seeking a solution to his frustration. He was struggling to gather important information about juveniles who came into his courtroom. His staff's job was to do research on the background of an individual and get information that could shed light on certain behaviors and actions. But oftentimes the staff returned empty-handed because caseworkers at different agencies said that they could not share this information with anyone, even the courts. The judge said, "If I cannot get reliable information, whether it's good or bad, then I will have a hard time making a good decision about the future of any boy or girl who steps into my courtroom." You see, limited information fosters unreliable or faulty assumptions. A fragmented understanding of people's needs wastes resources and limits results, and it fosters a short-sighted vision for holistic care. Mario Marino suggests, despite all the right intentions, the vast majority of nonprofits do not have the benefits of good information and tools to determine where they're headed, chart a logical course, and course correct when they're off. They're navigating with little more than intuition and anecdotes. Only a fortunate few have a reliable way to know where they're doing meaningful, measurable good for those they serve. Marino has a quote in his book from David Hunter, who is a managing partner of Hunter Consulting and a former director of assessment for the Edna McConnell Clark Foundation. Hunter suggests it is a really, really bad thing for nonprofits to promise to help people improve their lives and prospects, and then, when the matter is looked at closely, it turns out they aren't doing that at all. Now, it is possible for helping agencies to collect and share information in a safe and secure manner. Also, HIPAA-compliant standards can be applied to ensure the proper handling of confidential information. It is now possible for a group of helping agencies to work together with individuals and families, creating a customized path from crisis to sustainability to abundant living. All assistance, referrals, and outcomes can be collectively coordinated and monitored in real time. Also, capacity-building scorecards are now available that can evaluate the health, sustainability, and performance of helping agencies. This could really ramp up the efficiency and effectiveness of helping agencies. And for a community, it is now possible to collect and analyze comprehensive metrics from all helping agencies in the community, and this can happen in real time. Stakeholders often call this big data, which can clearly define what's working and what's not. This ability to gather comprehensive metrics from across the community revolutionizes the way communities can combat poverty, hunger, and other complex challenges. Another problem for many helping agencies is their inability to effectively meet people's complex needs. Despite good intentions, an agency's mission can fall short of expectation because of outdated methodologies or ineffective practices. A food bank in San Diego told us a remarkable story. They said that the way they were distributing emergency food needed an overhaul. Many people seeking help would start gathering at the food bank long before sunrise, and then stand in long lines for hours. The food bank was often overwhelmed by the vast number of people needing food, so they asked our company if we could help them find a good solution. Using laptops, digital signature pads, and barcode scanning, all supported by our web-based technology, the food bank staff set up multiple stations where people could quickly move through the lines. This solution enabled the food bank to cut 3-hour waits down to about 30 minutes. Now that is a remarkable testimony of innovative thinking and acting. The problem and solution experienced by the San Diego Food Bank illustrates an important lesson in organizational leadership and development. We have learned that the health and sustainability of an organization is largely determined by its leadership and its life cycle phases of development. This will impact the efficiency and effectiveness of the organization. Regarding a helping agency, life cycle development can determine mission effectiveness and its ability to adapt to people's constantly changing and complex needs. This can apply to any helping agency, including a charitable nonprofit, local congregation, or any social service agency. Most organizations are born out of stakeholders' passion for making a difference and willingness to pour time, effort, and resources into successful results. Their mission is energized with creative thinking and acting that is full of imagination, hope, and possibilities. Plans and actions will go through phases of development over time. In the beginning, stakeholders are very excited that their plans and actions are working and achieving relative success. However, at some point in its development, an organization can plateau, that is, begin to lose its energy or stagnate. This happens when stakeholders begin to hold on tight to ways that led to past success. They lock down their successes with policies and procedures that they believe will keep things running smoothly. This is when an organization begins to systemize, becoming highly structured, orderly, and efficient. They operate like a well-oiled machine that is stable and reliable for everyday tasks and processes. But this is not bad, unless the system takes on a life of its own, forsaking people for the sake of the program. A balanced approach to efficiency and effectiveness are important to a healthy organizational life cycle of a helping agency. Efficiency may be described as doing things right, whereas effectiveness is doing the right things. Unfortunately, efficiency, which focuses on the best use of resources, can outweigh effectiveness, which focuses on long-lasting results or the impact in people's lives. If this happens, the effectiveness of a helping agency could be imbalanced and drive the agency into a stagnant plateau phase indefinitely. Eventually, the organization will become out of touch with current realities and unable to adapt to people's constantly changing situations and needs. So how do you know if this is happening? Well, one of the warning signals is too much focus on the method rather than the mission. Driven by heartfelt passion and a strong desire to make a difference, mission breathes life into an organization. Mission is the why we exist and is equally or perhaps more important than the what or how we do things.
Hey, thanks, Mike. From an agency perspective, the fair question will be, what's in it for me? The answer, a lot. Funders and donors are leaning heavily nowadays on agency accountability. Many times with a, what did you do to get this person out of the line focus? Teaching someone how to fish is a big expectation nowadays from donors. Being able to track not just how many people are being served, but how many people an agency are getting out of the line is important. It is our experience that the results-driven agencies are the ones getting the funding and resources in today's competitive donation environment. Our partners in Charleston, South Carolina, actually use data from Charity Tracker to show funders what is being done with their donations. This has increased their funding. As they see success documented, the donors are rewarding it. So what's in it for churches? Most churches have limited resources, but being able to work from a referral type focus with other agencies can truly benefit everyone involved. By being able to refer a client to an agency that can help further is actually streamlining the care process effectively. Reducing duplication of effort and being good stewards in all agencies is so important nowadays. The Data and Charity Tracker provides the ability to evaluate all info on the client and work from an agency to agency perspective. This data will allow for better decisions all the way around. In step 1, part 4, we'll continue exploring ways to revitalize organizations, increasing their health and sustainability. We'll also turn our attention to how community developers view helping others from their perspective. For more information about this training series, you can call us here at Simon Solutions, area code 256-764-0633, or email me, joey@simonsolutions.com or mike@simonsolutions.com.